Hello and welcome to the second edition of Cooking Up Virtual Events. And I am incredibly happy to be joined today by Laura Olin, who I only met recently, really just around this event. And it's been a real pleasure to get to know Laura and the work that she's doing. Laura, I'd love to have you introduce yourself to everybody, who you are, and maybe a little bit about your career, so we add a little bit of context to this. I think that would be a lot of fun. Laura, over to you.
Oh, well, thanks, Miguel. Nice to be here. And hi, everybody. Yeah, we met around the theme virtual events, and I'm COO at Zoan that is focused on, well, basically 3D and game engine based experiences and virtual reality, and recently also different kind of virtual events, as Corona did change our business a little bit as well. And I'm here in Helsinki, Finland at the moment. I would love to show you, well, like here's a street view behind me. I'm in this kind of like a little box. But so we at Zoan, we come from Helsinki, and my background, like so far, before joining Zoan 4 years ago, so I've been mostly working with marketing and business development, and also organizing a lot of different kind of business events in Finland and also in other Scandinavian countries. And so my background is not technical. Sometimes people, when talking about virtual reality, think that it's like truly science fiction, but it's not about that. I just feel that my passion and what I do is more about like exploring the possibilities that these virtual technologies have nowadays for all of us who are like more or less stuck in our own rooms and just communicating with each other digitally. So that's
Perfect.
basically what I do.
Excellent, and it's great that you're non-technical, because I'm a little technical, I guess, but I definitely don't
Well,
want
at
to
least
talk very technical terms.
yeah, at
So
least you could set this meeting up. So you must have
it's a
some
start.
talent.
So I'm in Denmark, and you are in Helsinki in Finland. And I'd love to ask anybody who's watching to add where they're watching from in the comments. We've had a comment already from Patrick, who I believe is watching from Lisbon in Portugal, somebody I know from Portugal. But I can see that we have 25 live viewers right now. And I'd love you to add in the comments below the video just where you're watching from, and we'll bring those up on screen. We always like to know where you're watching from. So I want to give a big shout out to our common friend Paula, who really introduced us and said that I needed to tell the story of this event. And that's really where we connected the dots. Paula, also from Finland and Helsinki, and really wanted to tell the story of this event. We have Hannah, says ciao from Italy. We have Rami Salame from London, Mr. London. Oh, there you go. Horacio from Argentina. This is a truly global show now. Hello, Horacio. Nice to see you. We have Anne Nguyen from, yes, not that technical. Yes, the comment from Anne already. Anne is in Calgary in Canada. We have Kate from Minneapolis. We have Anna-Kaisa from Espoo, Finland. Maybe you know Anna-Kaisa, but if not, we have quite a Finland contingency. We have also Valentina from MPI. Hello, Valentina. Nice to see you. We have Maria from Sweden, Gothenburg. We have Chetan from London. Hi, Chetan. Thank you for joining us. Hope you find it interesting. We have Hanna, also from Finland. We have quite a Finland contingency here. This could be the United Nations competition. Elling from Norway. Very much looking forward to this. Alina from Porvo, and do stop me if you know anybody on the list, but always good. Monica, also from Porvo. Hi, Monica. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Robert Dunsmore from technically UK, Brighton. Love it. Magdalena, who is also behind the scenes helping me to produce this event. Thank you, Magdalena, for helping and for being here with us. We have Auntie, who says, nice to see you, Maria. He used to work together with Maria at MPI. We have Puru, I think I always say that name wrong. Laura,
Yeah, I
is
know
that
it's
right?
tough, but it's Puru, yes.
Puru, yes. Oh, not so bad. We have Mala Post from Estonia and Joni from Helsinki, Finland. And we have quite a few people from Finland. Thank you, everybody, for watching and being with us today and sharing where you're watching from. We have Jane, the last comer, here from Wales. Excellent. So as you can see, we have quite a global audience, mainly European and Finnish, but a global audience. So Laura, let's jump right into this. We're here to talk about the GVG, I think you say, and the City of Helsinki gig, right? Or how's it, GVG?
Well, it's a Finnish band singing in Finnish, so we say JVG. It's hard to
Oh,
say JVG, so I'll just say JVG because that's how it's pronounced in Finnish. So, in case you're wondering.
perfect. I definitely have more technical credentials than rap credentials, so I won't try to do any sort of rapping. But JVG, apparently one of the biggest bands in Finland, and then this event happened on May Day, also a very big deal in Finland.
Oh,
Not maybe
yeah.
something that people are so familiar, but normally what happens is you have millions of people or thousands of people that join in the central squares in Helsinki, and there's a big party on May Day. And this year you couldn't do that, right? You could, that was not
Yeah,
possible.
yeah. That was, well, because it was like it's the party is usually like the last day of April, and that was, uh, probably the darkest phase of this Corona period during the spring, sort of,
Mhm.
and you definitely couldn't like put together any gatherings of people on the
Yeah.
street.
I think what's actually funny is my last business travel was actually to Helsinki and to Porvoo in the beginning of March. So yeah, that was just before everything shut down. We
Mhm.
just kind of made it in and out safely. So I know you have a few slides to show. Maybe we could jump into that, but
Sure.
this was quite an event, and I want you to take us through the process. Obviously, this wasn't planned overnight, but you were in a bit of a rush, right? Because the Finnish government and the city of Helsinki wanted to celebrate, but not have thousands of people gather in the middle of Helsinki. So this was what was kind of put to you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, something like that. Do you want me to share the screen or the few slides?
Yes, if you share your slides and just talk us through, I think that's a good place
Okay,
to start, and we
perfect.
can introduce to people what the event was all about. I found this fascinating. I hope you will too in the audience. And do please write your questions and comments. Laura, take us away. Tell us a little bit about how this all happened.
Yeah, sure. So the thing was that as you already mentioned, Miguel, so this is how it usually looks like on the Senate Square of Finland on the last day of April. Because it's, after a dark winter, it's super nice to come out, and if it's a good weather, so people are like, popping champagne and having a great time outdoors, and there will be tens of thousands of people. But of course, this year, um, this was an absolute no-no. And but the Helsinki officials, instead of just thinking like that, okay, let's just put hundreds of policemen there to tell people to stay at home, they were thinking that could we potentially also do something that is fun and would like, like would help people to stay at home, that something great would be happening at people's homes. And that's when we started thinking about the virtual concert. And a little bit of the background is that our company Zoan has been working with Helsinki already for 2-3 years now. And as part of the Helsinki marketing's program of creating sort of, they are working a lot with sustainability issues and things like that. So they have been developing together with us this very, very high level 3D model of Helsinki, where the purpose is that we could offer people a chance to visit Helsinki in virtual reality instead of like always like flying to Helsinki or so, but at least people could get an idea of what's it like to be in Helsinki in virtual reality. And we had already made this Senate Square and a few other like attractions. and we at Soan, we work a lot with Unreal Engine. So basically for non-technical people, and well, for technical people as well, but what we have done is that we have created a 3D model like by a computer. So it's not like a video or photos or anything. It's an actual 3D model that looks very much like Helsinki Senate Square. And then when you put it inside this gaming engine, so you can interact with it and you can add different kind of like effects or change the time of the day, or I don't know, make like bears walk all around on Senate Square. So basically everything is possible. And by this time we had only developed it for the VR headsets, but the thing is that if we would like to utilize this as a sort of the venue for a virtual event, so not many people have virtual reality headsets at home, right? So we were thinking that we would probably need to figure out a way to broadcast it as a normal video, so that as many people as possible could access it, and also then that could be something that would attract people on the May Day Eve to watch their TV or computer or mobile phone instead of going out.
Perfect. So let me just ask a couple of questions here.
Yeah.
How long had you been working on this already?
With Virtual Helsinki, so this particular Senate Square was made and polished for an event called Slush in late 2018. But before that, we had already worked a few years with that without Helsinki. So we have been working with Virtual Helsinki with the purpose of we need to get Helsinki on board already since like 2016 or 15 or so. And then
so
finally,
it's almost a sort of passion project that became really useful for the actual project here. And let me just check if this makes sense in this analogy. So if I was making the latest version of, I don't know, The Lord of the Rings, or if I was making a movie, this kind of 3D model is what I would need to then create some amazing scenes for the movie, right? To create 3D realistic scenes. I know this is a gaming engine, but it's the kind of thing that you'd have to do to then make the actors appear to be blowing up Helsinki, for example, something like that.
Yes. You are correct. And in fact, this kind of technology is already being used, like, for instance, in Mandalorian, which is the latest from Disney. So like basically you need a 3D model, but to be able to put like real living people in there, you also need like a green screen or a LED screen where you will not film the people and then sort of remove the background and put the people inside the 3D model. And that was exactly the same principle we were using here.
Perfect. Okay. And so, yeah. So I wanted to ask a question to the audience who's watching. So what we're talking about here is a virtual concert, a kind of 3D concert, live concert. And I wanted to check if anybody who's watching has actually watched a concert in 3D or virtual reality before, whether on a headset, on a mobile device, or on your computer. Let me know in the comments if you've actually watched one of these concerts before. And Laura, let's keep talking, and maybe we'll see some interesting comments pop up as we talk about this.
Sure. Yeah. So where was I? So yeah, we started thinking that there could be something in this. We had actually already previously talked about a virtual concert, but it was just an idea that didn't go anywhere. But now we thought that, here's the momentum. Let's try to do something. And that was like in the end of March, beginning of April. And we knew that, okay, we have less than 1 month. And then we started talking about other potential partners as well. And Helsinki people were driving this forward in the decision-making system of the city. And then must have been like the second week of April when my Helsinki contact said that, look, tomorrow we will suggest to the city officials that we will commit to this project, and Helsinki was able to put like maybe 1/3 of the costs to this. And then we discussed internally that now this is the moment of truth. Will we do it or will we not? And I guess we already knew that we would have to do it because this would just be so cool and this would be something that people will need. And then we say that, okay, fine, if Helsinki says yes, then we are in.
So it was also a little bit of a pride as well, right? You said like, hey, we've got this. We want to show off Helsinki. We want to be part of this movement, right?
Yeah, and it was like that because it was so depressing, this Corona thing. Like a lot of people, a lot of layoffs everywhere, and people not knowing what to do and how. I mean, back then we really didn't know like how many people are going to die out of that. So it was also like a very, I don't know, very depressing time. So we thought that this is exactly what is needed. And I also think that internally it gave us a huge boost to be able to build something like this. And of course, we had been preparing. We had already booked a venue for the production where we could get this huge green screen and all the the technical equipment because we wanted to do this. And then also what was beneficial for us is that all the the people who normally work with events, all the super professionals, they were suddenly available. So
yeah,
we could make
that makes
contracts
sense.
with them. And then we started discussing with the band. And the thing was with the band that this is JVG.
Mm-hmm.
So they were forced to cancel their arena tour, which was supposed to kick off in, I don't know, late March or something like that. So they were sort of like that. We are not sure if we understand what this is all about, but it sounds really cool. And then they said that they would want to do that. So so we had a band and we had commitment from Helsinki and we had a 3D model and we had this great idea. So then it was just a matter of putting it all together in 3 weeks.
Perfect. Well, I've got a few comments from the people watching. Antti, who's involved with Helsinki as well. He said it was actually one of the first concerts he attended online, which is really interesting. If one of your first online concerts is a virtual reality concert, that's fascinating. Robert Dunsmore mentions Tomorrow World. I think another example of something a little bit similar. I think the difference is I was looking up what Tomorrowland did, and I think they pre-recorded all of the bands and all the DJ sets for Tomorrow World. I could be wrong, but you did it live, right? You had the band playing live?
Yeah, we really had it live. That's even Travis Scott, who got 12 people to Fortnite. So that was pre-recorded. And after this process, I totally understand why people pre-record. It removes a significant part of the risks involved in this. But we were so, some might say really bold, some might say a little bit, risk taker.
Mariano actually mentions here that. Fortnite is one of the things that Mariano mentions. And also Christian says that he participated in a concert on Second World years ago, probably talking about 10 or more years ago. So Second World concerts. I don't think I've ever been part of one of those, but you did it live. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And the band, I think we're also probably happy to play live, I guess, right? So we have a little bit of a... go ahead.
Yeah, because one of the big things here was also, I don't know if it's on it's on the next slide. So how it was made, it was that there was the green screen and there are those two guys, Jare and Ville Galle, but there was also two featuring artists, and then we would have a band. So we actually had 4 sectors of people on a green screen. And then what would happen is that we had real cameras where we filmed them in front of this green screen, and then all the material would go to this virtual environment, which in this case was virtual Helsinki, so that we created together with the creative director of the band. So we created special effects and the stage and everything for each specific song. And then inside this virtual space, there are virtual cameras that where you can film from different kind of locations. So if you are looking at virtual movies, for instance, the cameras can really go to places where you couldn't even put a physical camera. But that's that's all filmed virtually. And then there was this director who put this all together and then would send it as a broadcast on our like Burst platform and YouTube and Helsinki channel or wherever we put it. And then the final step actually was that our grand idea has been from the beginning and still is that we want the audience to be able to be a part of this concert. So not just like watching a stream, but rather like participating. So as a participant, you would go to your own device, create an avatar, and then your avatar would join the concert, and then you can choose to like wave or dance or whatever you want to do there. And we would pick then like 1,000 avatars to the virtual Senate Square, and while the guys were playing, so they would have this huge screen in front of them where they could see the virtual Senate Square with the avatars. So then they could really like, and I remember Jare commented at some point that, hey, iloinen hypiskelijä, you have quite a nice hat there or something like that. And that was like amazing that we got over like at some point of the concert over 10 million avatar reactions. So at some point we needed to shut the reactions off because we were afraid that they would like sort of,
the reactions
like,
were too successful.
Yeah, because we never expected it to be so big. But this was like the sort of the technical setup, how it was made.
Well, I just want to show a 30-second video clip for the people watching that goes a little bit behind the scenes, but then I want to come back to this audience reactions because I think that's what makes this really unique. But let's take a quick look behind the scenes.
Junalaiva flygari, otan tääl pysäkil, Bruna aina ysärin, suuntaan mä kysäsin. En näe eteen millään tie, muistuttaa pöllön silmää, tääl on rämmittävää. Onneks meil on Flindassa lämmittävää, paska haisee ja banjot soi, joku vessassa vaikeroi, moottori rupee lämpee, tääl tulee uus PMMP, reissutarinoita, tyhjiä varikoita, aamulla vapinoita eksy.
So what we saw there was, the band playing on the green screen, and they were playing live, and you had all these systems making that green screen into an amazing stage. And then that was put into this model of Helsinki. So for the people watching, they were actually on kind of like the main central square at Senate Square in Helsinki. That's where the concert was going, which is what these pictures are from, right?
Yes. So these are like from different songs. So we would have different themes for each song, like in one song that tells about like playing video games. So this cathedral would turn to be like this 8-bit cathedral, like in old Nintendo games. You can see here on the far right corner. And
I love the DeLorean flying around as well. It's so kind of throwback 80s, but I guess that's also a thing for the band, right? They're into the racing kind of thing, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I approached our Helsinki events director, Stupa Nikula, advised me that it's good if you can approach the parish just to tell that we are organizing something like this because the church will play a big role. And I said that, yeah, of course, because he says that we have a very good relationship. But I told them that we are organizing this sort of virtual concert and explained a little bit. But then I'm not sure if they really got what it was all about. And then when in the concert, when you see in the middle, this huge Rolex watch is like coming from the sky on top of the church. So I was thinking like, oh my God, what are those guys thinking about? But luckily they sent us message that it was so cool. Thank you very much. So yeah.
Always good to have that. Amazing. I mean, but let's go back to that avatar thing, because I think that's really, not that any of this is easy so far, but we've seen green screens and we've seen that mixed reality. But what I think is really interesting about this event is that idea that the people watching are not passively watching. You're not just making a video feed on YouTube, but you're changing the video feeds that everybody watches depending on how people react, and everybody had access to an app that could then react, right? So they could click to dance or wave or do different things, and their avatars would actually do things, and the whole world watching would see them, right? So they're also being rendered in 3D in the model, right?
Yeah, or it wasn't an app, it was a browser simply. So the idea was that you don't have to, download any apps to be able to
even better, even simpler, right? So everybody can participate no matter what they're using.
Exactly. And then you would need to make an avatar to be able to join, but it was super easy. And then the good thing with avatars is that on top of Helsinki, so we also got a few commercial sponsors. So some of them wanted to have their special avatars, so we could sort of, get a little more money out of this or for making of this concert based on those avatars. But yeah, that was indeed the thing. We how we see is that, because, or at least for me, like when you go to a concert, so the idea is that you are there like in the same space with the artist, and that's what most of those live streams are sort of lacking. And this was that's why we thought that this is really something that should have this possibility. And yes, it had that. And then the idea was also that because we only had like 1,000 people on Senate Square, as you can see in that photo on the left. So that if you were like super active, so your avatar could be the lucky one to end up on Senate Square. But then if you stopped doing stuff on your mobile phone, so then in 45 seconds it is gone.
So it's you also involved so you involved gamification, right? So you had to be one of the most active avatars to kind of earn your VIP spot in the game engine.
Yeah, and I was like, of course we didn't have previous experience of anything like this, and we were wondering, like, let's see if people get excited about this or what will happen. But obviously at least the kids loved it. Like my brother, who's got like 3 kids who are like between 4 and 8 years old. So what they did, that they gave mobile phones to kids and said that go there and dance and do your avatar thing. And they were just like sitting on the sofa drinking sparkling wine, and the kids would do the dancing stuff. They were just watching the concert. Yeah.
Perfect. Great. Well, let's get into some questions if you don't mind. I know we have a little bit of ideas. Do you have any other slides that you wanted to show, or are we?
I'll check. I think this was sort of, this the last one is the number part. So we had no idea that this would become so popular. I mean, when we published it out on Facebook before the concert, together with Full Steam Agency, so we quite fast got like several tens of thousands of people who said that they would join the event, and we were like that, wow. So we were thinking that maybe if we would get like 200,000 or something, that would be totally amazing. And then when like in 10-15 minutes after the start of the show, we got the information that there are already like 200,000 people watching. So we were like that, oh my God, this is amazing. But then when we got the final number, so that was like totally crazy.
That's really impressive numbers, and I think the total views is impressive. But what I'm amazed there, that 700,000 number, I think that's just incredible. Having that many people. What's the population of Finland? I think it's 5 million or something like that.
5.5 million, yeah. So that's quite a big percentage.
And it's a bad singing in Finnish, right? Which is not a language that's widely spoken outside of Finland. So you had almost a fifth of the entire country's population live on your platform.
Think about that. Yeah, but that was like, if we come back to the goals that that Helsinki wanted people to stay in. So we met that goal also, because there were only like a handful of people on Senate Square, and no like, no like problems on the streets. So people did as they were told. They stayed at home.
So you definitely achieved that goal. Excellent. So I'm just putting a little banner at the bottom of the screen. If you want to learn more about the event, there's an excellent page on the Zoan website. If you just go zoan.fi, you'll find it on the bottom left, but that's the full URL there. It has a lot more information if you want to explore this a little bit further. But let's get into some of the questions. And I saw that Elling started off very early with the questions, which I think is really fascinating. Elling asks, what budget do you need to make a model like you did? So let's say another city wants to build a model of their main squares and wants to consider making a concert like this. What kind of budget are we talking about?
If we think about only like the sort of the surroundings, the setup, the Helsinki, the Senate Square, it is a bit hard to say because we have been building, as we mentioned in the beginning, so it started as a passion project where you don't really calculate hours or anything. But I would say that if we think about a concert environment like equivalent to Senate Square, so I would say we are talking about maybe, I don't know, I would guess like maybe 40,000-50,000 to begin with to create that concert environment.
And euros then, you're talking about?
Yeah, euros. So then on top of that, you would then create all the concert effects, whatever you need, and then there will be.
So this would be just for the, let's say, the city, right? And then you'd build the filming of the concert, etc.
Yeah, but of course, this is like a question like, what does it cost to make like a 1-minute video? Well, it also depends on the content, like that, how much there are like different things, how detailed. So it's impossible to say, but to give you an idea of what it could be.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm sure, by the way, that Senate Square maybe has taken a little more. It's quite complex with all the church details and everything, but
yeah, I mean, the model looks very impressive, and from what you were saying, this is now a gaming engine model. So if you wanted to create any game, really make this into a level of a game, it's kind of done, right? You could just use Senate Square as a level for a game in a sense, right?
Yeah, and it's been used in many ways. Like for instance, we have this one sort of like an education game where the model is being used like as it is today, and then as it was in 1850 or something like that, when Senate Square looked very much different. So there are a lot of opportunities. That's the nice thing with 3D models, that you can utilize them in many ways.
So it also makes sense, and I think this is kind of what Antti is saying here in his comments. So we're also working on making this available for event organizers, so you could have your hybrid or online event in Senate Square or on the island of Luna, which sounds interesting. So I guess the logical conclusion is that it makes sense for destinations to invest in creating a 3D model of their iconic destination, really, or the iconic parts of their destination, right?
Sure. And especially now, because what we have also been doing with Helsinki is like that some parts of this model have been used. Like we had this Helsinki Design Week in late August, September. So there we created sort of like a tour that you could check some of the artists' work on one of the streets, which is actually the 3D model, and you can go there, just using your own laptop or mobile, and you can like see it, and it's sort of like taking you forward on that street. And then there's also another or a few other things that we have made there that you can also operate on your computer. And then that's really like the big thing at the moment, that this sort of Corona thing caught us in the middle of the process, where we sort of have the technology to make really cool stuff, but people don't have, for instance, VR headsets at home to be able to utilize all this. So what we are now doing is that we are utilizing those 3D models and stuff like that for different kind of virtual events. For instance, for one event just a couple of weeks ago, we created this illusion city, which combines like Helsinki and Tallinn to a one big virtual space, and you can go around there and check what the partners have to offer, a bit like in the same way that you would be playing a first-person game, like walk around and see what things are. And this is currently, like with virtual events, is very, very popular, and there are technologies how you can like make this kind of visual quality available also for people who are using these very thin MacBooks like myself, so that you don't have to have the gaming engine yourself.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. I had a question from Christian. What was the playback technology like with 3D glasses, with extra browser or web-based? So I think you could watch the concert pretty much on any device. Am I right?
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, we were considering like broadcasting a separate 360 stream for people with VR headsets, but then we thought that that would be like an extra gimmick, and we just focused on as big audience as possible. And then so what happened is that we did broadcast it, for instance, for JVG's own YouTube channel, so you could just like also watch it from there.
Yeah.
Without the
so
avatar.
You had it streaming on multiple places, right? So you could
yeah. And then we had this burst platform with the avatar function. So if you wanted to have the avatar, so then you would need to log in through the burst browser, but it's just like a normal browser that you can use on your mobile or on your laptop.
Perfect. And I think there's another really interesting question from Christian as well. It says, was it a once-in-a-lifetime event? And were there any elements that you could miss if you weren't there? I think what Christian's asking is, can you rewatch it? Is it something that you can like play back, or is it just you had to be there and that was it?
Yeah, so there was a recording of that, and it was available for like I think 48 or 72 hours after the concert. So that's where we got the other 700 viewers from. But so yeah, it was available, and for sort of like IPR reasons, it's not available anymore. But there is no like technical hinder for that you can definitely record that and you can put it out there and let it be there as long as you want. But of course, I mean, the feeling of that live event and the feeling of being there and then, so you sort of miss that. You don't, for instance, have the avatar stuff, then you just watch that recording.
So the interaction, of course, has to be live, so that we have that possibility to be in the action as well. Monica Burkle says that she's waiting for the 3D model to be available. We want to offer the Helsinki experience for our international conference guests. Well, let's connect the dots. Hopefully, we can facilitate that. But I wanted to dive a little bit further, because when we were talking last time, I really had to start to think about this in my head, about how amazing the possibilities are here. Because if you're in a gaming engine, you could have one band playing in one version of the game, and however many people can join that version of the game. But you could have another band playing in another version of the game, and you could choose to be in version 2 of the game watching another band or a speaker or whoever it is, and you'd see the other people watching, right? So you could kind of spawn multiple versions of Helsinki, and you could choose which version to be in. Am I getting that right? Because that kind of blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Or you can do like, you can have the same setup, but then you can have like different artists and different concerts every day or whenever you want, with different kind of effects, different kind of lights and all. So it's basically like a venue. And we did utilize Helsinki. There was another concert on Helsinki Day, which is like the birthday of Helsinki in June. And there we had this artist called Alma, who had just released her record, and we did it together with her and Helsinki and a couple of other partners, so that we did utilize parts of the virtual Helsinki. But then for her, we did also build this sort of like a magical forest and whatever environment she wanted to have. So the concert took place in 3 different locations.
Okay, you have to explain that a little bit better. I need to understand. How can it be in 3 different locations?
So because as the artist is performing in front of the green screens, and you are like capturing it to your gaming engine, so you can of course decide what is the environment you are going to insert the artist in. And we had prepared 3 different elements or environments. So for the first 3 songs, there was this magical forest, and she would be singing there. And then when the 4th song started, there was this now I can't remember, but it could have been like this desert. So then we would just, change the environment, and suddenly she would be there performing in that desert. So because it's all up to imagination and the capabilities of making these environments and effects. So that's how you can do that. And then
I think it's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've been like, because what happened after this is that now we do have this concert platform, and we are currently working on an international festival, which I can't unfortunately tell more about, but we've been really like digging deep into this, and sort of what seems fascinating for many artists are the storytelling possibilities that you have with this kind of technology, because most of them have stories, and you want to tell your life story or something like that. And here budget is of course one restriction, but that's basically the only one, that you can create anything you want.
Yeah. And I wanted to actually just show a quick video of the engine being used for other reasons. So I wanted to do that. I know you shared with me a little video on YouTube of a little demo, and you can see here, this is essentially using the same model, if I'm correct, of Helsinki.
It's the same church, now in a different setup.
Yeah, I'm going to skip a little bit because I know the video, but here you go. Now we're walking in the video, and you're walking around Helsinki. Very much, lots of avatars, lots of stuff happening. But you have all this, right? And then this is a kind of interactive model where you can connect with different sections, and then there's a team from Helsinki Business Hub introducing us or talking to us.
Yeah.
Right?
So this was an event called World Digital Built Environment that took place in September, and this was like the sort of virtual showroom space that we created together with them for the partners to be able to show their things, and also to show like, keynotes and things like that. And then of course you would have like a chat there on the right hand panel, and a lot of different things that you could do. But I think for me, because I'm not a gamer really, even though I work with this, so I don't like sit at home and play computer games. So just like being able to walk freely in this environment, and it felt really magical. I wasn't a part of the team who created this, and I also saw this at like the first time we started broadcasting this environment. So it felt like a little bit mind-blowing, like that, okay, you can do events like this as well.
No, I mean, I think I've not always been a fan of the 3D kind of model for events, but I think building it on a gaming engine is completely different. That's a whole other level, because essentially you're kind of like building a computer game that can be played live by multiple people, but you can build a business kind of computer game, which for me opens all sorts of possibilities. It's not just about having different sessions going on, or kind of videos being recorded and played in different places. So the interaction bit for me makes it really fascinating. Yeah. I had a couple of questions that I wanted to just clarify from the actual event. Magdalena was asking if you got a notification that you were in the square. So if you were one of the avatars, how would you know that you were one of the avatars? Would you get a notification?
I can't remember, to be honest. I'm sorry, I've forgotten. Could be, but I can't remember. I'm sure that can be made, definitely, if that's something, but I can't remember.
I imagine, yeah, that would make sense. And she also asks, how big was the team working behind the scenes? So let's talk a bit about the production element, because we're mainly interested in the event side. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I said that we would have like maybe around 30 people behind the scenes, like working with the actual production. So we would have a sort of the virtual team, like the team that would take care of the 3D modeling, the coding, everything that's running on the Unreal Engine. Then we would have the actual like camera teams, people who would be filming, directing all of this, and putting together the real footage, and then the sort of the virtual world. Then we would have like sound people who would take care of, as in normal concert, take care of the sounds and stuff like that. Lights was also like one part of the thing, and then also the live streaming, because of course this we had like a specialist company also taking care of that part. So that's basically it. I think we had I would say like around 30 people.
Okay, so not as big as I think it could have been, but still a considerable team to pull off something like this. But 30 people to do 700,000 people watching. I think if you were doing a live concert, you'd have a lot more people involved in the actual production.
Yeah, and that's like, to be honest, like there wasn't much sleep during those last days. Like really, people would work like almost 24/7. So it was like a crazy effort for everyone, but everyone wanted this to succeed. So and with the band also, we did several rehearsals on the same week where the equipment was tested and everything was tested, and oh, this is not working, we need to try it this way. And so there was a lot of it was a very different experience for the band as well compared to a normal concert.
If you have an opportunity to go to the website and see the full video of the case study, there's a great little scene when you interview the band, when they kind of say like, it was so sick, we didn't realize how many people were watching until it was over.
Yeah, that's true. And I remember like I showed the avatars scene from the Senate Square before the concert to them while they were leaving the backstage and going to the stage, and I told them that, look guys, they are waiting for you, and they were like, oh my god, are these real people? That this is so crazy. And then they just went out there and did the concert, a very nice concert.
Perfect. Paul Cook has a question. Do you have to be an avatar or can you be yourself?
Well, the idea with the avatars is that we had an option of like maybe 20 or 30 different avatars, so you could pick a one that looks most like you, but yeah, it was like an avatar figure that you would have to choose. Then if you didn't want to have an avatar, you could go to like YouTube, for instance, to watch it just as a normal broadcast.
But could you have your face on your avatar in the future? Is that something that you could build into the engine as well?
That can be made. Yes, definitely.
Might need a bit more time to prepare for each person. Paul just asked.
But the
Go ahead.
Well, the avatar business and there are companies who are specialized in avatars. So I think that there's a lot of happening on the avatar front also.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting site. I'm just putting the link below. Paul, if you see it in the bottom of the screen, you see the link to the full case study. There's a 6-minute video in there that is also really interesting to watch that I would highly recommend. Matthias had a question, which I think he sort of answered himself, but could you use the virtual model for site inspections, tourist visits, where you'd walk around the virtual city? I think the answer is yes, right? That's sort of what we saw there.
Yeah, and site inspect, I mean, so 10 years ago started working with virtual models were actually for the purposes of real estate owners, that you could check out how the apartments or whatever offices are going to look like before they are even built. So that was like the first thing we did. And of course. And what I think from the tourist or traveler point of view also, that you can create, for instance, Helsinki, how it looked back in 200 years ago and how it might look in the future and different. There are a lot of opportunities.
Excellent. So Bob had a question earlier. I hope Bob is still around. Bob, if you're still here, thank you for the question. Bob asking, could you talk a little further of the monetization? I think it's probably worth talking about what happened in this case, but also what you might be looking to do in the future, because you did mention there was a lot of interesting sponsorship opportunities, companies that want to kind of be featured in the 3D world. How does that all work? What's the reality for this event, and what could you see in the future?
Yeah, so for this event, of course, this was totally free of charge for people to attend. So we needed sponsors to help with the financing, and we got the city of Helsinki, and then we got some other brands such as OnePlus, for instance, one of the sponsors, that we would just put their we didn't want to interfere with the concert experience, but we would just like they would have the options of having like their brands on the avatars or brands shown in the sort of the lobby where you wait for the concert to start, and of course in the beginning, in the end, different kind of advertising. And that is very a valid thing. I mean, in the future, I think that, for instance, having like a really cool sponsored avatar when you attend a virtual concert is probably something that could be quite logical for many brands that to present themselves, and also for bands to sell virtual merchandise so that you can have your band t-shirt. And of course, you are probably not paying 20 euros for a virtual t-shirt, but you can pay like €1.
So that your avatar can have the official t-shirt if you pay some money, right?
We are laughing at it, but ask someone who is like 12 years old, so this is totally relevant. So but then like so this concert was like sort of like a charity concert, but then currently there are like options like for instance our platform, so we have integrations to like ticketing system, so you can actually like buy and validate a ticket from Ticketmaster or whatever, and then to be able to join the virtual concert. So that's definitely a source of revenue in the future virtual concerts. And also another thing is that we see is that different kind of virtual swag related to maybe your avatars or something like that. And or if you like, for instance, there would be a special for like one avatar to be able to become like a giant for 5 seconds during the concerts, and then the cameras will get you, and you will be like there forever as part of your favorite artist's concert. So these kind of things.
That's I mean, there's a lot of kind of intertwining and sort of content marketing opportunities that you can be part of the 3D environment, you can be part of the content, you can have special features. I mean, there's a lot of kind of upgrades, I guess, that you could build into each system. Interesting question from Paul just came up. How easy is it, in your experience, to explain these VR experiences these days to people and get them interested? I imagine that's a huge part of what you do and what your team does. Are you finding that the conversations are changing and people are more excited?
Well, in a way, so that talking about like virtual stuff overall, so in the spring, in the summer, I think that most of the companies were still like hoping that, maybe this corona disaster will go away and we can get back to normal soon. But now obviously it is not going away. And at the moment, so there are a lot of like companies and organizations who are interested in utilizing virtual solutions somehow in their business. It can be a virtual event or showroom or something like that. And of course, when you talk about virtual, like it's being talked about so much that somebody might think that this is virtual, what we are doing here, like talking to each other via a video. And then somebody else thinks that virtual is something where you put on the virtual reality headset and go to this virtual reality world. So there's quite a like defining what it is about. So that's quite a like a there's a lot of different things under the virtual umbrella these days. But in general, people are interested and explaining what, for instance, game engine based virtual realities are about. We usually prefer to show it because that's the easiest way to understand, when you can put on that headset and go there and walk around, and then you are like that, wow, this is totally amazing. That's what most people do. But now we are not able to do that because showrooms are closed. People don't want to wear headsets that somebody else has used and all of that. So now we are just here showing video clips, explaining things, and showing some of the work we have done exactly as I'm doing right here.
Perfect. And I think it's great that the technology enables you to be on all sorts of platforms and stream to multiple places. So I think if you do have a VR headset, that you can have a different experience, but most people won't. So then they'll have a good experience, but a different one, rather than have to be exclusive only for the VR headset holders.
Yeah. And I have to say one thing, that also, like, it all starts with that, like, what do you want to achieve? Because sometimes having this video conversation is definitely the best option, and creating like 3D whatever doesn't add any value. But then if you want to create something totally different and cool, so then there probably are options that you should utilize.
Perfect. So we've talked a little bit about the results already. You've obviously got some pretty powerful results in terms of number of viewers, and a lot of people are impressed with technology. But what would you do differently in the future? So if you were to do a project like this again, what did you learn from this project, and what would you improve on?
So, well, first, it would be nice to have a little more time than 3 weeks. In many ways, we had a perfect chance to pilot things, but we were also lucky that things went so well, and everything functioned as, already when we put it together, and not just when we tested things alone. So definitely more time would be great to have. But I don't know, like, apart from that, so this must have been one of the greatest experiences in my career so far, being able to be a part of, like, really starting from that. I was mostly like, walking in the forest and trying to talk to different parties and helping my colleagues to put this together. And then suddenly you talk with the band, and you talk with the people who can do different kind of things, and you can see it in front of your eyes that, oh my God, this might actually become a project. And then when it really starts, so the excitement and everything, and then the final, when you see that the broadcast starts and you are there together with the record label people, and everyone's just watching the screen, and you are like that, I hope it works. And then it starts with those airplanes just flying and dropping the guys on the stage, and the beginning of the show. It still makes me like, it still gives me chills thinking about that. So in that sense, I know improvement is good, but in this project, I wouldn't change a lot.
Okay, excellent. Good to hear. And one comment that just came in on, there's a few more questions actually. We're almost on the hour, so I want to make sure we wrap it up. And I have a little special request, if Laura is okay to stick around for a few more minutes. I'd like to ask everybody to go over to a wonder.me room, and I'm actually going to put the link on LinkedIn. So on the hour, we're going to go over to a Wonder room. The used to be called Yo Tribe, but a Wonder room. And then we can do a little bit of post-event networking as if we were live and we were just coming off the stage. And you can also connect with other people that have been watching. So if you'd like to join us, I've put the link in the chat. And on the hour, we move over to that room. You can join early as well if you want. And if you've never experienced Yo Tribe or Wonder.me, do that, because I think you'll be quite impressed. Maybe one last question that you mentioned. What aspects of this event do you think met expectations better than other virtual events? Ooh, that's an interesting question. Maybe you could address that one to wrap us up.
Yeah. Well, we definitely created some new things, introduced a totally new way of doing things, at least in Finland. And at that time, it was for the most of the world. Then we had the best band, the most popular band in Finland. And then we hit the right time, like it was the worst Corona depression that was going on, combined with the sort of canceled spring celebration. So I think that those were the three biggest things.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Laura. We have a minute left. I'd like us to go over to the live room for some networking. I really appreciate you spending some time with us. I know you had a really busy day, and you're going to have a busy evening as well, I hear, as you're making a large purchase in your life. Let's not get into details, but you're a busy person, and I imagine lots of things to talk about. I hope everybody watching, you enjoyed this. I found this event absolutely fascinating, and I'm still trying to get my brain around the idea of using a gaming engine to do these things. So I see a few people are joining already on Wonder.me. Laura, I hope you can join us as well.
Yeah, I went there already. I don't know what's happening, but I'm trying my best.
Okay, we'll do a little broadcast in there to explain everything. Excellent. Laura, thank you for joining me. We'll end the broadcast there on LinkedIn. And if you're watching this in the recording, add your comments for myself or Laura in the recording. We'd love to hear where you're watching from, what you found the most interesting, and hopefully you can rewatch this and learn a few things. Again, that link to the full case study is scrolling below. And please join me again actually later this week. I'm having a special edition on Friday with Elina Juteleit from the Freelance Business Month, and look out on LinkedIn for an invitation for that. I'll put it in the comments here below. So thank you everybody for watching, and join us for some networking briefly. Thank you, Laura. Bye-bye.